Hello and welcome all of you once again. Let's continue with the next topic from the unit number 5. As all of you know, last time we have started with the unit number 5, that is the related with the memory management, and related with the same. Today we are discussing the next topic in that, that is a various memory allocation strategies. And in that, today we will discuss about the one of the main technique in memory allocation, that is the contiguous memory allocation, and one technique in that continuous memory allocation. Okay. So as the last time we have discussed what exactly is the memory management, what is the memory types of the memory, etc., etc., what is the need of memory management, that all the things last time we have discussed. So as you know, the memory management is one of the important functionality of the operating system, and which handles or manages the primary memory or our physical memory, that is our random access memory, by moving the process or data or instruction back and forward between the memory and the between the main memory, that is our RAM, and between the hard disk. Okay. So how does the memory get managed? By continuously exchanging the particular memory, or the continuous interaction between our main memory and the secondary memory. As already last time we have discussed, if there is a need of the particular data or instruction or the process to be get executed by the CPU, then that particular process has to be brought from the secondary memory into the primary memory. When that process get executed, that particular process has to be again shipped into the secondary memory, which is your permanent storage. In this way, the primary memory get managed. Okay. So as a part of the management of the primary memory, there are the other different kind of activity get performed. As you know, the memory management function keep the track of status of each memory location. Means memory as per the memory management functionality, this particular function of operating system has to keep the track of how much memory is allocated, which memory locations are allocated, which memory locations are free. So that particular functionality is done in the memory management. Also it determines how the memory is allocated among the different computing process. Means how the memories get allocated if there are more than one processes want to allocate the memory, and according to the priority, the memory is allocated for such kind of process. Okay. So same thing I have written here. It determines how memory is allocated among the computing process, deciding which get the memory when they receive it, and how much they are allowed to be how much memory they are allowed. Okay. So when the memory is allocated, it determines which memory location will be get assigned. Okay, according to the empty memory locations. Also, memory management function keep track of when memory will get free and which memory locations are unallocated. So updating the status of all these things, that is done in the memory management function. Okay. So it also decide which process will get the memory at what time. If there are the number of processes are in the waiting queue, then which particular process will get the memory at what time. That work also done by the that track also being taken by the or kept by the memory management function of the operating system. Okay. And as already we have discussed, it also keep the count of how much memory can be allocated to the process. Means suppose there is a one P1 process has come, then how much memory will be allocated to that P1 process. So count of that also being kept by the as a part of the memory management function. So that everything related with the memory management last time we have discussed. Okay. Now today we have to discuss which are the different strategies are available using which the memory get allocated to the different process. Okay. So memory allocation is nothing but the we can say the action of assigning the physical address spaces to the process. Process in the sense the particular instruction and data. So memory allocation is nothing but the activity of assigning the some memory locations or physical memory as a physical address spaces to the process. So process is nothing but the form with the help of the different instruction and data. So whenever some process comes for the execution to the CPU, now that process has to be first bring into the main memory. In the sense, then in that main memory, how the different physical addresses will be get assigned to that process, that is nothing but the action of memory allocation. Okay. So allocating the space within a memory to the certain process, that is the simply concept of memory allocation. So the modern computer system has an memory space. As I last time we have discussed, the whole memory space is divided into the number of different blocks, and each of that block is considered as a cell. So same thing I have written here. In modern computers, the modern computer system has a memory space divided into the blocks of various size, and these blocks are of various size. Okay. So the operating system assign this memory block to the different process depending on the empty spaces, depending on the empty memory spaces. So memory allocation is nothing but the assigning these whatever the pre-memory spaces are there to the different instruction and data which is part of your process. In short, assigning the memory to the different process. Okay. So this memory is assigned in the main memory segment depending on the demanded memory and empty memory slot present in the main memory. So depending on what is the need of particular process, the memories get allocated within this particular different blocks of the memory. Okay. So in order to process for the process to be get executed, that particular process has to be put in the memory first, that is a primary memory, and that is not so how it is being done. It can be done with the help of the memory allocation strategy. Understood? So so assigning space to the process in the memory, in short, whatever the summary of our discussion related with this slide is nothing but what assigning the space to the process in the memory is simply called as a memory allocation. Understood? Now, in order to do this memory allocation, there are the two important memory allocation strategies are available for the operating system. One in that is the contiguous memory allocation, and second strategy is the non-contiguous memory allocation. Okay. So in order to allocate the memory, two important memory allocation strategies are available. First is the contiguous memory allocation, contiguous in the sense in the continuous manner, and non-contiguous second allocation strategy. Okay, that is not, that is the opposite to the contiguous, means non-continuous, that is the non-contiguous. Okay. So again, contiguous memory allocation strategy is also divided into the two categories: fixed partition scheme and the variable partition scheme, as I shown you here also. So today we are going to discuss about the what is the contiguous memory allocation, and in that contiguous memory allocation, what is the fixed partition scheme. Okay. So related is the variable partition scheme and some other part that we will discuss in the next lecture. Okay. So, as I said, the memory allocation strategies are purely divided into two categories. One of that category is the contiguous memory allocation. Okay. So, what do you mean by the contiguous memory allocation? So, in contiguous memory allocation, each process is contained in the single contiguous block of memory. Okay. So, in case of the contiguous memory allocation, memory is divided into the several fixed size partition. Understood? Each partition contains the exactly one process. Okay. When a partition is free, process is selected from the input queue and loaded into it. Okay. So the memory, the free blocks of the memory are being referred as a holes or the cells that already I told you. Okay. So the set of hole is searched to determine which holes are best to be allocated and which holes are empty. Okay. So it allowed to store the process only in the contiguous fashion. Okay. So the entire process has to be stored as a single entity at one place inside the memory. Okay. So the contiguous memory allocation is nothing but what? Memory get allocated to the certain process in continuous mode. Understood? In the continuous mode. There is a no, you will see in that example. Okay. So some important characteristic of the continuous memory allocation is what? each process is each process is allocated in the single block of the memory. That is the first characteristic of a continuous memory allocation. What? Each process will be contained or get, each process will get exactly single contiguous block of the memory. Understood? Then second characteristic of the contiguous memory allocation, what? The particular memory is divided into the fixed size partition. Okay. So this memory is a pre-divided, means before the memory allocation will start. In case of the contiguous memory allocation, the memory is divided into the fixed size partition, and each partition contain exactly one process. What? Each partition will contain exactly one process. So these are the three important characteristics of the contiguous memory allocation. Okay. So let's see the example for that. Suppose there, consider there are three process of size 5 KB, 2 KB and 3 KB. Okay. And there is a particular memory of total size 10 KB. Just example I am telling you, memory of total size is how much? 10 KB. So in case of the contiguous memory allocation, this particular 10 KB of whole memory is first divided into the fixed size partition. Means this is the one partition of size 5 KB. This is the second partition of size 2 KB. This is the third partition of size 2 KB, and this is the last partition of size 1 KB. Means this whole 10 KB of memory is pre-divided into the fixed partition. How many fixed partitions are there now? 4 fixed partitions are there. Understood? Now there are the 4 holes or 4 blocks or 4 cells of the memory are there. Okay. Now these 4 blocks of the memory can be utilized by the 4 different processes. Understood? Now consider, as I said, consider 3 processes are there: 5 KB, 2 KB. Consider 3 process of size 5 KB, second process of size 2 KB, and third process of size 3 KB. Okay. Now 5 KB process will be get stored in this particular block of memory or the cell. Understood? Then this 2 KB will get stored in this block of memory. But now remaining particular process size is how much? 3 KB. But is there any partition whose size is 3 KB? No, this is the 2 KB, this is a 1 KB. But you can say this is this if you add these two partition, it become 3 KB. But the in case of the contiguous memory allocation, you cannot put this particular process of the size 3 KB into these two blocks of the memory, because in case of the contiguous memory allocation, what the characteristic says, each partition contain exactly one process. Means this particular remaining 3 KB size of process can be contained within this particular part of the memory, but it is already allocated to the 5 KB size process. Now what is remaining? These two blocks of the memory. Now these two blocks of the memory will remain unused because 3 KB size of the process cannot be put in this 2 KB because it is less than this 3 KB. It cannot be put in the 1 KB because it is also less than the 3 KB. Understood? So now you can see these particular two partitions of the block remain unused. Understood? These two partitions of the block remains unused. Understood? Still the partitions are available, blocks of the memory available. This process cannot be get accommodated in this particular block of the memory. Understood? So that is the one of the disadvantage of the contiguous memory allocation that we are going to see in the further section of this particular concept. Okay. So that is the concept of the contiguous memory allocation. Is what? If you want to allocate the memory for the process, then it will be get allocated in the continuous fashion. Means if the 5 KB is process is there, it can be put in this block of the 5 KB. This 5 KB process cannot be put by dividing 5 KB into the 2 KB, 2 KB and 1 KB in these three partitions. It cannot be done in case of the contiguous memory allocation. It is not possible in case of what? Contiguous memory allocation. Only one partition will contain the only one process. That is the main characteristic of contiguous memory allocation. You cannot break this process of 5 KB into the three parts, and then you cannot allocate the memory to these three part in this way: one part 2 KB, another part 2 KB and another part 1 KB. So if you want to allocate the memory using the contiguous memory allocation, it can be allocated in the continuous way only. Means only one partition will contain exactly one process. Understood? So that is the contiguous memory allocation. As I said, in contiguous memory allocation, each process is contained in the single contiguous block of memory. So this 5 KB is a single contiguous block of memory. That is the reason this process of size 5 KB can be allocated here easily. This 2 KB is of the size, this 2 KB process, this second process size the 2 KB, it can be easily allocated in the second partition because second partition size is the 2 KB and it is a contiguous. But the last one, that is a 3 KB size. Now size of the last process is the 3 KB. How much remaining memory blocks are available? One block is the 2 KB, one block is another block is of 1 KB. So 2 KB is not sufficient to allocate 3 KB process. 1 KB is also not sufficient to allocate the 3 KB. If you combine these, then it will become the 3 KB. But if you combine this, you are combining the two partitions. Understood? And that is not allowed in case of the contiguous memory allocation. So that is the reason it is said in contiguous memory allocation, each process is containing single contiguous block of memory. Even if the memory is allowed, memory is available by combining the block, it is not possible in case of the contiguous memory allocation to allocate the memory for certain processes. Okay, so that is the reason these are the three important characteristics of contiguous memory allocation that you should keep in mind, because we have to compare it with the non-contiguous memory allocation. So once again, I repeat, in contiguous memory allocation, each process is contained in the single contiguous block of memory. Memory is divided into the several fixed partitions like here. Then each partition contain exactly one process. Understood? And these free blocks of the memory is called as a holes. Okay. So whenever process will require the particular memory, then these particular free blocks or holes are searched. Understood? And then whichever hole or the block is available in that, the particular process get their memory. Okay. So that is the reason here also last point I have mentioned, thus the entire process has to be stored as single entity at a one place inside the memory. So that is called as a contiguous memory allocation, where each process will get stored into the exactly one partition of the memory, where partitions are pre-divided. Okay. Now contiguous memory allocation, in contiguous memory allocation also we have to discuss one important concept, that is a partition table. Okay, so once the partitions are fixed, are defined, operating system has to keep track of which partitions are available, which partitions are allotted, which partition are free. Okay, so the operating system has to keep track of all these things, and operating system keep track of all these things using one important data structure that is called as a partition table. So whenever the partitions are done by the operating system, whenever the memories get divided into the different partitions, okay, different slot, then operating system also has to keep track of which partitions are allocated, which are unallocated or the free. And this information is stored using the one important data structure that is called as a partition table. So this is the sample partition table I have shown you here. Like starting address of partition, here it is being shown. Okay, starting address of partition in the sense that particular block of memory will start from which address. Okay, size of each block, size of each partition or size of each cell is shown here. Whether that partition is allocated or it is free or allocated. So whether the partition is allocated or free, that particular record is kept in the status column. Okay, so to keep track of which blocks are available of the memory, which blocks are allocated, which are unallocated, or which are allocated, which are free, to keep track of that, the data structure utilized that is called as a partition table. Okay. Then as we are discussing about the contiguous memory allocation. Okay. So the contiguous memory allocation also, in case of, as I told you, contiguous memory allocation technique is divided into the two important categories, which is nothing but first is a static partitioning, which is also called as a fixed size partitioning, or dynamic partitioning, which is also called as a variable size partitioning. Okay, so today we are going to discuss only about the contiguous memory allocation. In that already we have discussed what is the concept of contiguous memory allocation, and in that today we are going to discuss about the static partitioning or the fixed size partitioning. Okay, now already you must be knowing static partitioning in the sense what, once you define the size of certain partition, you cannot change it. That is the reason this is referred as a static partitioning or the fixed size partitioning. Dynamic partitioning is nothing but what, you can it is possible to change the size of the partitions whenever you require. That is the reason it is referred as what, variable size partitioning. So you must have understood the difference between the static partitioning and the dynamic partitioning. Here the size of the partition is fixed, you cannot change it once you define it. Here the size can be changed. Understood? So same thing I have written here. Static partitioning is the fixed size partitioning scheme. Okay, means once you define the size of the partition or block or the cell of the memory, it cannot be changed. Okay, so in this technique, main memory is pre-divided. Main memory is pre-divided into the fixed size partition. Pre-divided in the sense, before the memory allocation process start, the memory is first divided into the fixed size partition. Okay, the size of each partition is fixed and cannot be changed. Means as if you declare the size of one particular partition as a 10 kb or 5 kb or 2 kb, once it is declared, it cannot be changed. Understood? and each partition is allowed to store only one process. Each partition can store only the one process. Understood? So these four important characteristic of static partitioning you should keep in mind. First is what? It is a fixed size partitioning scheme. Second, memory is pre-divided into the fixed size. Then third, size of each partition is fixed and it cannot be changed. And last, each process can be stored only in the single, each partition is allowed to store only single process. Okay. So this is nothing but the referred as a static partitioning scheme. Like example of that I have shown you here. Under fixed size partitioning scheme, a memory of size 10 KB, for example, can be divided into the fixed size partition like this. The 10 KB can be divided into the in the pre-divided manner. It can be divided into the 5 KB, 2 KB, 2 KB, 1 KB. So it can be divided into the different kind of partition and size, but at the initial point only. Once you define the size, it cannot be changed. Okay. So these partitions are allocated to the process as they arrive. Whenever the process arrives, these partitions are allocated to the process. Okay. The partitions allocated to the arrive process depends on the algorithm followed. Okay. Now, whenever the one process P1 comes, okay, now to this P1, whether this partition to be get allocated or this or this or this, which one? Now, in order to decide that, there is a one algorithm is being followed. Okay. In order to decide whether P1 should be allocated to this partition or this partition or this partition. Now, in order to decide that, some algorithm strategy has to be utilized. The same thing is written here. The partition allocated to the arrive process depends on the algorithm, and that algorithm we have to see the next. Okay. So in that case, the algorithm which is being there, that is called as a partition algorithm for the partition allocation. Okay. So as we have discussed, the assigning memory blocks to the process is a very challenging task, as the primary memory is needed to be divided. So this our primary memory has to divide into different partitions. Okay, and that primary memory contains the operating system. It contains the different user process, operating system process, etc., etc. Okay, as you know, the our primary memory is limited. That is the reason assigning memory blocks to the process is a very challenging task. Okay, primary memory as compared to the secondary memory is limited, and that is the reason it has to be handled carefully. It has to be managed carefully. And primary memory only not contain the user process. The primary memory is always divided among the operating system. Our operating system also there in the primary memory whenever you start the computer. Also, when you utilize or when you do some task on the computer, that user process also need the primary memory. And also the primary memory is needed by the various operating system process. So that is the reason challenge the operating the assigning the memory blocks or memory cells or memory partitions to the different this particular task or the process is very challenging task. Okay. So therefore the system operating system uses the different algorithms to allocate the memory from the main memory. As I said, if there are the P1, P2, P3 and P4, this process comes and this process want to utilize the memory. Then how the memory will be allocated to this P1, P2, P3, P4? Understood? Now, in order to decide how the memory will be allocated, now there might be a multiple partitions of the memory available. There might be a thousands of memory partitions are available. But which partition to be allocated for the P1, which to be allocated for the P2, which to be allocated for the P3? So it is not like that randomly the this process will be put into this memory blocks. So in order to decide which partitions will be allocated to the particular process, there is a one particular algorithm is utilized. Here it is mentioned. Therefore, the system uses different algorithm to allocate the memory from the main memory segment. Okay. And these algorithm which are being utilized to allocate the memory for different process is known as the memory partitioning algorithm. That is called as what? Memory partitioning algorithm. The algorithm which is utilized for what? The algorithm which is utilized for allocating the memory to the different process. That algorithm is called as what? Memory partitioning algorithm. Okay. And in case of the memory partition algorithm, there are the three algorithms related with that. Okay. And that three algorithm we are going to discuss. In that, first is the first fit algorithm, then best fit algorithm, and third worst fit algorithm. So as you can see here, algorithm for partition allocation for the process being divided into three parts: first fit, best fit and the worst fit algorithms are there. Okay, so let's see the algorithm one by one. Okay, now let's see the first algorithm. In case of the contiguous memory allocation, as I said, it is divided into the two categories: static partitioning and the dynamic partitioning. In that, we are discussing about the static partitioning, and in the static partitioning, the algorithms which are being utilized to allocate the memory for the process, that is also divided into the three categories. In that first category is what? First fit algorithm. Now let's just read the theoretical point and then we use the example to understand this better way. Okay. So in case of first fit partition algorithm, okay, first fit partition algorithm, you can see here in the first fit, the partition is allocated, which is the first sufficient block from the top of the main memory. It scans the memory from beginning and chooses the first available block that is the large enough. Thus, it allocate the first hole that is large enough. Means in case of the first fit algorithm, how the partition is allocated to the process? The partition is allocated to the process which is first sufficient block, which is what here I have mentioned in the first fit. The partition is allocated which is the first sufficient block from the top of the main memory. So operating system scan the memory from the beginning and then it do what? It choose the first available block, first sufficient available block, first available block that is the large enough to hold the particular process, and then that block is allocated to that particular process. Okay, now why that is the reason it is called as a first fit algorithm. Means let's see in the example. Suppose there are the four process P1, P2, P3, P4. Each process of the size is given 212, 417, 112, and the 426. And the particular block of memory is given here, which is having the size of 1700K. 1700K block of memory is there. And this block of memory is pre-divided into this partition. One is the 100K, another is a 500K, another is a 200K, and 300K, and last one is the 600K. So this 1700K is divided into these five partitions with the different size. Okay. Now we have to allocate the memory for the P1, which size is how much? 212K, 212K. Okay. Now according to the first fit algorithm, the operating system search this block of memory which is pre-divided, and by searching these, it will see the the particular partition, the first particular partition which is large enough to hold the 212K process. Now, can we put the 212K process in the first partition? No, first partition size is how much? 100K. You cannot put that in. You cannot put the your P1 process into this in this particular first partition because its size is 100K. Our process size is a 212K. Okay. Then which is next? Then second partition is size 500K. Your process size is how much? 212K. So in this block of memory, this second partition is the first large partition, which is having the size where you can put the P1 process. That is the reason here mentioned partition number 2 of the size 500K is assigned to the P1, which is size 212K. It is the first partition that can accommodate the P1. Understood? That is the reason here it is mentioned in the first feed the partition allocated which is the first sufficient block. Now this first block is not the sufficient block to hold the P1. This particular second partition is the sufficient block to hold the P1. That is the reason the P1 will be get allocated in the this second partition. And why it is called as the first fit, that you must have understood here. We choose the which partition? The first partition, first in the sense not this first of the this particular memory, not the first of this not the first partition of this memory, but the first partition, but that first partition should be sufficient to hold your process. That first partition should be large enough that that particular partition we refer as a first. Understood? So that is the reason here our process size is 212K. Now This is the first partition, but it is not large enough. We want the first partition that should be the large enough to hold your process. So this is the first partition which is large enough to hold your process. Understood? That is the reason process number here, process number process number one, sorry, process number partition number 2 of size 500K is assigned to the P1 of the size 212K. It is the first partition that can accommodate the P1. Understood? That is the reason here you can see you are putting the P1 in this second partition. Then partition number 5 of size 600K. Now our partition, our process P2 is having the size 417. So can we put the 417 in this first partition? No. In the P1 already you have put. Can we put the 417 in the P3? No. Can we put the 417 in the P4? No. Can we put the 417 in the P5? Yes. In the partition number 5, you can put your process of size 417. That is the reason partition number 5 of size 600K is assigned to the P2, where the size of the process is 417. It is the first empty partition that can be accommodated to the P2. So that is the reason we choose this partition P5 for our P2 process. Understood? Then P3 of the size, what is the size of P3? 112K. Now, can we allocate the 112K in this first partition? No. In the second? No. Can it be allocated in the P3? Yes. P3 is the first partition large enough to hold the P3. Understood? So that is the reason here P3 is assigned to the partition. P3 is assigned to the partition number 3. Understood? So here you can see the P3. So P3 we have allocated, then P1 and the P2. Understood? Now you might get the question, this P1 size is a 212K. Understood? So why we have not allocated the partition number? Why we have not allocated the partition number? Partition number this 4 to the 212K. But that is not possible according to the first fit. What is the first fit is saying? Allocate the which partition which is the first and which is the large enough. So partition 2 comes before the partition 4. That is the reason it is the first fit. That is the reason it is the first partition which is the large enough to hold the process. So that is according to the first fit. You have to choose the which partition, the first partition which is the large enough. Understood? Not the first. Meaning of the first here is not like the initial partition of your memory blocks. First in the sense the first which is a large enough to hold your process. Accordingly, you can now, what is the last process? P4. Its size is how much? 426K. Now, can we hold the 426K in the partition 1? No. Can we hold the 426K process in the partition 2? No, it is already allocated. Can it be put in the partition 3? No. Can it be put in the partition 4? No. Because its size 300K, we want the 426K. Can we put in the partition 5? No, because it is already allocated. But you can see, so that is the reason you can see P4 cannot be get executed because no memory blocks are available. Understood? Now, but if you see the partition number 2, where we are allocated the 212K process, 212K size process, there is a unused memory is 288. In partition 3, there is an unused memory that is the 88. In the particular next block, the unused memory in case of the partition 5 is 183. Understood? So if you do the calculation of all these, there are the blocks of the memory available. Means if you do the calculation of all these, you will get to know that the particular memory available is 559 memory is available, because here P1 size is 212K, means only the 212K will get utilized, remaining is 288 is remain unused. In case of partition 3 also, only 88K is utilized, only 417 is utilized. What is the unused memory here in case of the partition 3 is more than the 88K. Understood? So same is the case In case of the partition number 5 also, 183 is unused memory. But this unused memory cannot be utilized because according to the contiguous memory allocation, you cannot you can put only one process within a only one partition. Understood? So this particular unused memory get wasted. Understood? And if you calculate this wasted memory, it is coming around 559. This wasted memory is coming around how much? 559. Okay. And this particular wasted memory, because of the characteristic of contiguous memory allocation, is available. What is the characteristic of contiguous memory allocation? The contiguous memory allocation strategy says you can put only one process within one partition. Now, even if the partition size is more and process size is less, the remaining space remain unused, wasted. And that particular concept is called as the internal fragmentation. That is called as what? Internal fragmentation. That is the one of the disadvantage of contiguous memory allocation. That is called as what? That is called as what? Internal fragmentation. What is the internal fragmentation? Internal fragmentation says even certain process allocated within particular partition, that unused space within that partition cannot be get utilized. Or we can say if there is a particular process size is less than the size of the partition. What? When the size of the process is less than the size of the partition, that unused space or unused memory is called as a internal fragmentation. That is called as what? Internal fragmentation. Okay. Another disadvantage related to the contiguous memory allocation here is what? External fragmentation. That is also occurring here. What? External fragmentation. Now, how the external fragmentation is occurring here? Okay, see here, our this 100K size block is also available. Okay, and 300K size block is also available. So this space is available here. Okay, 100K and the 300K. Understood? So if you combine these, it is become 400K. It is become 400K. Understood? And if you combine these unused space, then we can easily have 426K. We can easily have 426K if you combine this 300K, this 100K, and this unused space. We can easily have the 426K. But that is not allowed in case of the contiguous memory allocation. What? That is not allowed in case of the contiguous memory allocation, and that is called as the external fragmentation. Means what? Even if the particular blocks of the memory are available, but if they are not contiguous, you cannot put your process within that block of memory. That is called as the external fragmentation. Okay, related to the internal fragmentation and external fragmentation in detail in the next lecture also we will study. Understood? Here you just keep in mind the particular strategy under the static partitioning and how much memory is getting wasted. So you can calculate here the memory utilization also. So memory utilization is calculated like this: memory utilized divided by the total memory. So memory utilized by the process P1, P2, P3 are like this: 212K, 417, 112K, and divided by total memory 1700K. So you can get here the memory utilization as a 0.436. Understood? So keep in mind here memory wasted in case of the first fit method 559. We have to compare it when you compare these strategies: first fit, best fit, and the worst fit. Okay. Let's see the next algorithm strategy in case of the static partitioning, which we utilize to allocate memory for the different processes. So second strategy is the best fit algorithm. What? Best fit algorithm. The same example we utilize here. Okay. So what is the best fit algorithm is saying? Allocate the process to the partition, which is the first smallest sufficient partition among the free available partition. What is the best fit is saying? Allocate the process to the partition which is the first smallest sufficient. What? Concentrate on this particular sentence. What? See here. First smallest sufficient partition among the free available partition. Okay. So our operating system searches the whole list of holes or whole memory partitions, okay, which are available, and which partition get chosen according to the best fit, the first smallest sufficient partition. What? First smallest sufficient partition. Let's see here. Now same example we are utilizing. Okay, now we have the P1 size of 212K. Now P1 will be get allocated to the which partition? Now which partition we have to get? First smallest sufficient. Now P1 size is 212K. Can you hold the P1 in the partition 1? No, its size is less. Can we put it into the P2? Yes, we can put it in the P2, but size of the partition, size of, can we put the P2 into the partition number? Can we put the P1? Is it possible to put the P1 into the partition 2? Our P1 size is 212K. Partition 2 size is a 500K. It is possible, but it is not the first smallest sufficient. First smallest sufficient in the sense, if you put the P1 within a partition 2, how much memory is getting wasted there? The amount of memory getting wasted there is around 288, around 288K. That is the reason it is not the first smallest sufficient. So can we put the P1 into the partition 3? No, its size is a 200K. It is not possible. Can we put the P1 into the partition 4? Yes, we can put, because how much memory is getting wasted here? Only 88. But if you put the P1 into the partition 2, how much memory is getting wasted? 288. That is the reason here the partition 4 is the first, it is the first small and sufficient partition. That is the reason we can put P1 into the partition 4. Understood? So that is the best fit. That is, it is called as a best fit. Understood? That is the reason it is mentioned. Partition number 4 of the size 300K is allocated to the P1, which size is a 212K. That it is the smallest free partition that can be accommodated the P1. So that is the reason P1 get accommodated into the partition 4. Similarly, partition number 2 of the size 500K is allocated to the P2 of size 412K, 417K. It is the smallest free partition that can accommodate P2 according to the best fit. Okay. Similarly, partition number 3 is allocated to the P3. Partition number 3 is allocated to the P3 because partition number 3 size is 112K. It can be easily accommodated to the partition number 3, and partition number 5 is allocated to the P4. Here you can see. So that is the best fit algorithm. You can see now we will compare it with the first fit algorithm also. Okay. Now if you calculate the memory utilization here, you can calculate the memory utilization here like this in the similar formula. So memory utilization is 0.486. What was the memory utilization as in case of the first fit? Memory utilization in case of the first fit is a 0.436. So you can compare first fit and the best fit here. Definitely you can see the memory utilization is more in case of the best fit, as well as wasted memory in case of the best fit is also less as compared with the 559 which is there in case of the first fit. That is the reason best fit is better than the first fit algorithm. Okay, I hope you must have understood the best fit algorithm using which we can choose the particular partition for the particular process within a memory. So here allocate the process to the partition which is the first smallest sufficient partition among the free available partitions. So here the operating system search the entire list of holes or the blocks or the partition to find the smallest hole whose size is greater than or equal to the size of the process. Here you can see the wasted is less as compared with the first fit. That is the reason it is a better than the previous first fit strategy. Okay. Now let's see. So here, does the internal fragmentation problem is coming here? Okay. Does the internal fragmentation problem is coming here? Yes. Here also the wasted space is there. Understood. So there also internal fragmentation problem comes here. Okay. Now let's see the last uh, algorithm in case of the static partitioning. So that is the worst fit. What? Worst fit. Let's see what it is say. Allocate the process to the partition which is the largest. Now see here, you have to concentrate on this word, which is the largest sufficient among the freely available partition. So allocate the process to the partition. Which partition? Which is the largest sufficient among the freely available partition. Okay, let's apply algorithm. Now we can see, can we allocate the P1 within a partition 1? No. Can we allocate the P1 within a partition number 2? No. It is possible, but it is not the largest enough. Which is the largest enough out of these? This is the largest enough. That is the reason P1 is allocated within a partition 5. That is the worst fit algorithm seen. Allocate the process within a largest sufficient among the freely available partitions. So that is the reason P1 is allocated to the partition 5. So here it is being said the largest partition number 5 of the size 600K is allocated to the P1. Then P2, the size is a 417. So that is the reason I assigned to the partition number 2, because partition number 2 is the largest free partition and it can be accommodated the P2. P3 112K size assigned to the partition number 4 as it is the largest free remaining partition. Now P4, you can see the P4 size is how much? 426K. P4 size is how much? 426K. Now it cannot be executed because there is a no free partition that can accommodate the P4. Because there is a no free partition where you can accommodate this particular P4. There is an unused space available. Unused space available which is having the size more than the 426, but that unused space is not the contiguous. What? That is not the contiguous. That is come under the category of external fragmentation. That is come under the category of external fragmentation. So here also internal fragmentation occurs as well as the external fragmentation occurs. What is the internal fragmentation? I told you internal fragmentation is nothing but what? When size of the process is less than the size of the partition. So here internal fragmentation occur. Here also it is occurring. Here also it is occurring. That is called as the internal fragmentation. And what is the external fragmentation? External fragmentation is what? In particular memory block, in the particular memory, if you combine the unused memory and its size is more than the size required for the particular remaining process, what? If you combine this unused space, now what is this unused space? It's a 659 size, and it is greater than the size of the process P4, which is a 426. But even that you cannot allocate the particular available unused space to this P4 process because this is not the contiguous. That is called as a external fragmentation. That is called as what? External fragmentation. External fragmentation is what? If you combine the total unused space, if it is more than the memory which is required for the remaining process, but still you cannot allocate that memory because of the contiguous memory allocation property, that is called as the external fragmentation. Okay, this part we will see in the next lecture also. Internal fragmentation, external fragmentation with example. Okay, so here you can see you can calculate the memory utilization also. This memory utilization is same as a first fit. Okay, but it is a less than the best fit. So you can see the wasted space also, that is this wasted space is more in case of the first fit also and in case of the best fit also. That is the reason this is called as a worst fit algorithm. Okay, so these are the three algorithm which can be utilized by operating system when the operating system has to decide which partitions to be allocated for the which different particular process. Okay, so different process, when different process comes for the memory, when the different process require the memory, okay, then that memory get allocated to the different process with the help of these three different strategies as a part of the contiguous memory allocation, like first fit, best fit, and the worst fit. Okay, so I hope all of you understood this strategy. Related with that, and you must have understood the static partitioning also. Now related to the contiguous memory allocation, remaining part is there, that is the variable size partitioning, and two important concept also we have to see, that is the internal fragmentation and external fragmentation, that we are going to discuss in the next lecture. Okay, thank you all of you. If you have any doubt, please comment in the comment section.